Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dream Building 101. My name is Dr. Ebony Potts, and I am your host. I am also the author of Next Exit Your Destiny, Taking the Road Towards the Life of Your Dreams. And on this channel, we interview individuals who are from all different walks of life, who are walking on their path to fulfilling their dreams, and hopefully can inspire you to do the same. So if you like what you see on this channel, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and give it a big thumbs up. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing a gentleman that I've known for a couple of decades now. Go ahead and date both of us. But we went to high school together at Scotchland Stanwood High School in New Jersey. And since then, he has become a successful businessman, a family man, always been a nice guy. His name is Mr. Tamer Shaalan. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on your show. First thing I want to say is that I love what you're doing as far as this whole, YouTube channel, because I think it's much needed. I like one thing that I always loved is to see people's path and how they got to where they got to. So what you're doing is really beneficial. I actually had a chance to watch, a couple of your channels with Tarek and Leon and Keely. And, it's really good because it's all different ways to get where you want to get to go. So, for example, Tarek was doing acting, Leon is a doctor, Keely is an image consultant, and just watching it. And I was just fascinated to see, wow, it's very important to see how somebody gets to where they got to go. And it's just a beneficial. So everybody subscribe. It's a beautiful channel.
Thank you. It's very important because, when you watch individuals, we very often, we've all heard the cliche, when you watch someone, you only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see all of the things that they've gone through. But it's very true, and just myself as hosting the channel, life happens to everybody. And that's something that I think is beneficial for everyone to know, that no one has a straight path. And just listening to people and being motivated by others, I think is important. So since you talked about what you appreciate about the channel, why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Tamer Shaalan. I own fish and chips restaurants. So currently I have one in Union, in Elizabeth, Jersey City, Manhattan. And I have a food trailer that we do events for. And basically what makes us different with what we do with the fish and chips is that we have our own homemade salsas, we have our own homemade batter, our own seasoning. So we try to make it a little bit different, and we want to be well known as the main fish and chips restaurant in America, hopefully in the future. So we have big goals.
So what was your career path like once we graduated from high school? I know that you didn't, walk out of the, stadium or the football field from where we graduated and then walk right into owning fish and chips. So how did you get into that? Like, what was your path like?
So as you mentioned, I live very close to the famous fish and chip spots in Fanwood. So I love the food and I just love what they were doing. So it was always in the back of my head, but it wasn't something that right away I said, this is what I'm going to pursue. I just love fish and chips and I enjoyed it. Just to give a little backstory, I grew up working on my father's food trucks in Newark Airport. So I always had a background in cooking food. It's something that I enjoyed. Once I graduated college, I said, I got to use my degree. So I went into corporate America.
And what did you get a degree in, and where did you go to school?
I got a degree in Rutgers University for business management. So I said, this is what people do, right? They graduate and they go into a field. So I tried the whole corporate America thing and had a bunch of sales jobs. My last sales jobs that I had was for Concentra. It was a pharmaceutical company. I was doing pharmaceutical sales, making decent money, but it just wasn't me. I'm going to do nursing. So I got accepted to nursing school. So while I have Concentra, working for Concentra, I'm doing nursing at nursing school. And then while I'm doing nursing, I get married to my wife. I moved to Bayonne and I see a little store. And it was just like a perfect little store. And I said,
sick of sitting at your job, daydreaming about the life that you would have if you'd won that big jackpot? Do you want to design a life for yourself that you don't need to take a vacation from? Do you have a vision for your life that you just don't know how to make a reality? Next Exit Your Destiny is a witty, comical, yet straightforward guide that gives you common sense, easy to follow steps to make the life you dream of the life that you live. Get off of Unfulfilled Street, Unhappy Way, and Sunday Night Blues Boulevard and take the next exit towards your destiny today.
I want to open up a fish and chips. This is what I want to do. So I have a lot of things going on, but I said, no, this is what I want to do. So I said, I'm going to do it. So I opened up the fish and chips restaurant. I had other people running it at first and I was overseeing it. So I'm doing 3 things. Like my life was crazy at that point.
That's a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm in nursing school. I'm working for Concentra. And I just opened up this restaurant. So I got to my last semester in nursing, and I said, we were doing clinicals, we were in a doctor's office, and I was taking care of just one patient, and some people, they could hold their emotions in, but I remember taking care of this one patient, and she was, really sick, and it showed in my face, and she looked at me and said, I'm a mess, ain't I? And I said, oh my God, I said, I can't do this. I can't do nursing because it's gonna show. It's gonna show. So I said, no. I said, so I left. I dropped out. Like I had 1 semester left. I said, no, I'm not doing that. So now I have Concentra and the fish and chips left. At that point, the fish and chips was picking up a bit. I was like, if I work the hours, this and that, I could just do this full time, instead of doing Concentra, because I don't want to be stuck in sales. So I told my wife, I said, this is what I'm gonna do. She's crazy. She supports all my ideas. I opened up the fish and chips, and that's how I got to it. When I opened up the fish and chips, the main reason that I opened it up was I just looked around. I said, fish and chips is a popular concept like all over the world, right? You have it in Europe, wherever, right? And it's very, but over here in New Jersey, I seen a kind of like a hole in the market. I said, there's not too many places that are open.
And for those of you that are not familiar with fish and chips, it's really like a Boston, or not Boston, it really actually originates from like England, right? And the chips, they refer to chips as what we call like French fries. So they would do the fish with like the beer batter, kind of the thick batter on the fish, and then they have, the kind of like the pub French fries that go along with it. And it's very, very popular over in England. And then there were a few, a lot less than what you have going on now, but there were only maybe only one that I remember. There might have been more when we were in high school. But the fact that you've been able to kind of expand the business is great. So tell us about a challenge that you faced on your path, and a turn back moment, and how did you overcome that?
A lot of people, like you mentioned, will look at the success and be like, wow, this person just got there magically. But for me, I started in Bayonne. I closed that restaurant down. I opened up another, then I opened up Elizabeth, then I opened up Union. After Union, I opened up a restaurant in Branchburg, closed that one down, right? So, and then just recently, I had a restaurant in Newark. I had a problem with the landlord because he wanted to take over the space. He seen that it was successful, but so we got into a lawsuit and a bunch of stuff, and I ended up losing that spot. So there's actually, out of all the locations, I had 3 locations that didn't make it. So, that was a challenge. Those were challenges for me. What I learned something from each one. And, the main thing that I learned is that you gotta staff the restaurants appropriately. So, if you see the business, so what happened with Branchburg is that it started off good. I had 4 people working, but when things started to slow down, I still have 4 people working. So I'm like paying a lot of money, and I was that type of person to say, oh no, I can't cut anybody's hours, and these people are like my family, which they are. But if the business goes out of business, then nobody's making money.
What did you wish, or what do you wish that you knew before embarking on this path? I'm sure there were a lot, but I'm sure you learned quite a bit. But if there's like a
Yeah.
couple things you could pick out, what would you say?
Um, well, I wish that I didn't trust people so easily. I mean, I've had a couple employees steal from me. When I opened up Manhattan, it was my first time in New York City. So I should have reviewed the contract a little bit better. And then things are popping up, and I'm like, oh, what do I owe $3,000 for? Or something, just something that was in the lease. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So, I wish before going, you know, like a few years back, somebody would told me like, hey, look, just look at things more diligently. Because I'm the type of person to give you a benefit of doubt. Like, you have to give me a reason not to trust you. I'll trust you from the beginning. And that's what the problem my wife says that I have, is that you trust people too much.
I think as people, you tend to view others the way that you know that you are as a person. So, and that's kind of your perspective. And until someone acts out of character, or acts in a way in which you wouldn't recognize or you wouldn't do, then you kind of call into question. But you kind of have to definitely have to have your eyes wide open, because everyone didn't grow up the way that you did. Everyone's perspective is different. And some people are a little bit more jaded, and again, everybody's coming from a different standpoint when you're dealing with people. So
the thing about my wife is that she does the like, she's opposite of me, so she doesn't trust anybody.
what do you love about what you do, and what's the most challenging aspect of what you do?
What I love about what I do, everybody is different, but what I love is just the freedom, just owning your own business. And I'm a hard worker. I'm motivated because I'm doing something that I'm building with other people. Everybody's that's involved. But like, I always reflected back to the truck days when I didn't have a boss, and then I compared it to corporate America. Some corporate America could be good for some people, and I encourage it. My brother's in corporate America, and it does good financially. But for me personally, I always reflected back to the freedom I had working for myself compared to working with somebody else. And I just love that whole aspect where, I might work more hours, but it doesn't feel like I'm working. So if it doesn't feel like you're working, then it's not work.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of what you do?
The most challenging thing is that, keeping a balance, because when you own your own business, somebody's calling me from Elizabeth, someone calling me in Union, DoorDash went down. It's just things always keep happening. So, if I'm with the family, my wife is like, oh, you answering the phone again? I'm like, I got to, I can't not answer the phone. So the most challenging thing is keeping a balance between the two, between personal life and the Chippery, because it's my own business.
Yeah, that's the challenge I think that a lot of people have, especially around our age, because most people that are around our age are, you have children a lot of times that are not grown at this point. Your family, most of us are still kind of in the building process, around our age. You're not, 50 or 60 years old, so you haven't, I guess, arrived yet. You're not there where you could pass it on to, your children or whatever it is. So we're still kind of in the building process, and you're still raising children, and you're married, or you have a significant other, or whatever it is going on. So that balance can be difficult, and it's definitely something that we all kind of have to manage. You still have to try to have fun, and you still have to try to, take some time for yourself and replenish so that you can be what you need to be for your business and your family. So tell us a recent life lesson that you've learned or had to grapple with in the last 2 to 3 years that you think would benefit someone else.
In business, like standards, I had one employee. It was kind of like a bad apple, right? He, in front of me, he said, "Hey, Tamer, I'm thinking everybody likes me, but I'm the owner, so I guess they have to like me. But I really think they like me, so I'm kind of gullible. I'm like, they really like me, but they probably don't. Some of them probably don't. I know some of them do. Just one in front of my face, he's so friendly, he's cool, but behind my back, he's talking a lot of junk to the other employees. What are we doing here? we could be making more money. So he's like demotivating everybody, you know, and I'm hearing this and then I'm seeing his other side. So, you know, and I get real friendly with employees. So, you know, I learned like a life lesson was that I gotta draw boundaries, and you know, between being the employee, like the owner and the employee. Some people I could do that. You gotta just read different people, but some people will try to take advantage or do things, and then just a bad apple, you gotta you know, let them go if they're ruining the motivation of the other people on the team. So that's something that I learned. I had another challenge too. So I had to learn. So when I first started at Chippery, I was working there all the time as a, like making the fish and this and that. When we started expanding, I just didn't trust anybody as far as like making the food, or just I was kind of like a perfectionist. Like, I want to make this a certain way. You got to cut the box. You got to ventilate it. So I got everything in place, and I want to do. So I would walk in, and everybody would just get out the way, and I would just start taking over the fryers. I was like, yo, you got to start trusting people, and just letting them do it, and then you have to oversee and correct them. So her advice actually helped me a lot, because you know, you can't expand if you don't trust people.
What would you tell 20 or 25-year-old Tamer if you go back and talk to him today?
Tell him to eat less pizza. No, I'm joking. No, I would tell him to enjoy the process, because time goes by fast, right? So I would say just like enjoy, and it's not about getting to somewhere, it's about enjoying what you're doing along the way. So I was always eager to you know, to move to success, but the fun part is actually getting there and enjoying everything that you're doing.
If you could tell someone out there who just might be getting started on their path towards their best life, what would you say to them?
I would say, you know, take a risk. You know, a lot of people, they don't want to take a risk. Like, I could have been okay with doing what I was doing with corporate America, right? But I said, I always wanted to take a risk, or I could have been okay with just like the first restaurant. But I said, you know, and my family's like, why are you going to open up another restaurant? I want to take the risk, right? And the good thing about it is I have a wife that supports me taking risks. She's as crazy as I am, as far as like, if I say, hey, I'm going to open up something else, she's like, all right, go ahead. Which is unusual, because a lot of wives would be like, no, like, we're going to go broke. So I would say, especially if you're younger, take a risk and don't be afraid of losing money. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is from God, you know, you're provided for. But especially when you're younger, or you're living at home, or you don't have that much responsibility, take a risk. If it's somebody that has like a entrepreneur spirit, go take that. Take a, not a dumb risk, but like a risk that's reasonable. Like, if you did your homework and you understand what you're getting into, and you feel like it's a good idea, and you feel strongly about it, do it. Right?
Yeah. Calculated risk is what life is about, because anytime you step outside of your comfort zone, you know, and I talk about this in my book, you know, anytime you step outside your comfort zone, you're taking a risk. And, you know, the only way to get to the next level, whatever the next level for you is, because most of the things that you want that you don't already have are at the next level. Otherwise, you'd have them already. So, you know, the things that you want, that you are reaching for, that seem like they're just out of reach, you're going to have to get outside of your comfort level in order to get there.
I completely agree. So, I mean, people really have to take that risk, and, you know, just stop worrying. Like the 25-year-old Tamer, stop worrying, you know, just take a risk and try to get what you want to get.
Yeah, because if you fail, then there's lessons that are in that too. So if you decide to try again, you're not starting from the beginning. You're starting from experience, as they say.
Failure is the best thing. Like, you learn so much from failure. You learn more from failure than when you actually succeed.
Definitely, because when you fail, you know, you're like, man, I don't want to feel that again. So how can I avoid that? You know, you start brainstorming, right? Like, even if you're learning how to walk, you're like, man, I fell down. I don't want to keep bruising my knees every time I get up to try to walk. So how can I avoid that? You know, and you automatically start problem solving. So you have to kind of think of failure and again, stepping outside of your comfort zone in that manner. And eventually, you know, as long as it's something that you want, you'll figure out the pieces to put together so that the next time or the second time or the third time or the fourth time, however many times you fall, that eventually you won't fall again. Anything else you want to add or any questions for me?
Like I said, I really love what you're doing. Like growing up, one of the books that I really liked was like the autobiography of Malcolm X, because it showed him how he got from where he was to who he, to where he was at. And what you're doing, like God willing, is going to have a lot of success, because it's like a blueprint, to let you go to where you want to go to. Like you're exploring all different types of careers.
Thank you for being here, because, again, all different types of paths. Everyone's path is different. Some people, like you said, are going to do the corporate thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your path, that's what you want to do. Some people want to be entrepreneurs. Some people want to perform. So, again, having people from different walks of life is very important, because you never know what's going to inspire someone else. So I thank you and appreciate you for being here.
No problem.
So where can anyone who is watching get in contact with you? What are your business address? What's your web address, so that people can come and enjoy fish and chips?
Okay, so our website is www.the-chippery.com. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter is at the Chippery. And if you want to book an event, for a birthday party, whatever, you can just reach out to me. Phone number is 908-251-7386.
All right, very simple. We'll make sure that we put all of that information in the comments down below. And again, thank you so much, Tamer, for being here this morning. You dropped lots of information, lots of gems for people to be able to make sure that they are on their own path to success. So I thank you on their behalf.
No, and I appreciate you having me, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, I will. And again, thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget that if you like what you see, go ahead and hit like, share, and subscribe. Give it a big thumbs up, so that you can make sure that you are continuing to be queued up for our next inspirational video. And I hope that everyone that is watching has a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.